to episode 445 of the Filmmakers Podcast. This is a podcast where we talk
filmmaking.
From indie film to studio films to high-end TV to documentaries and...
Well, there's nothing else in between.
How to get them made, well, the short films.
Yeah, we don't do this. We don't.
Well, we do.
we do them if they're Oscar short films.
Oscar nominee, but also...
Yeah, that's the exception to the rule.
we have done a short film masterclass.
That's right, yeah. Very occasionally we do short films.
Yes, we do. And everything else in between. How to get them made, how to make them, and how to try not to...
royally F them up.
I am Giles Alderson.
I am Dom Lenoir.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining us on another wonderful episode of the Filmmakers Podcast, because today we're bringing you a double dose of powerhouse talent. First up, we welcome the incredible Stephen Graham, who's known for his incredible turns in This Is England, Boiling Point, and The Irishman. Joining him is the brilliant...
Whoa. Let's not forget Boardwalk Empire and The Virtues.
Oh, okay.
And Help.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
There we go. I've got some classics there. Classics.
The classics.
that was my. I saw him in the corridor on the way out, and I was like, I hadn't said it in the interview. I didn't have time, and I was like, Boardwalk Empire. It's one of my favorite. Favorite shows, and I think I just sort of like casually floated. Al Capone as he walked away.
Did you just shout at him? Just shout at random
words? It wasn't a shout. It was just like, Al Capone, because he was. That was the first time I ever came across his work. Was in like Boardwalk Empire.
Really?
And, like, what a show! I mean, like, what a show!
Oh, you don't remember Snatch? I remember him. Snatch. He turned up in Snatch.
A little bit, but I think I watched that later.
It was brilliant.
I think Boardwalk was like the moment when I was like, this guy can deliver.
This guy can deliver. And joining him with someone else who can deliver is Erin Doherty. She has just been celebrated for her captivating performances in The Crown. She was wonderful in The Crown. I loved her in that. She was also in Rebellion. Yeah, indeed. And she's joining Stephen Graham to discuss. Go on.
40. How many blows was it? 40,000 blows? 44,000 blows? 400 blows? No. The boxing one. She just did with Stephen.
She did that with Stephen as well, yeah. 400 billion blows. I think it's 400,000 blows. Is it 200,000 blows? 2,000 blows?
I feel like that's a lot of blows.
It's a lot of blowing. Yeah.
Hang on. Let's find out how many blows it is. 1,000 blows. Okay. It's 1,000 blows.
Blow me down.
Yeah.
Not as many blows as we thought. Still enough to knock you down.
Yeah, I mean, if you took 1,000 blows, you'd probably be very knocked out, to be fair.
And she survives it. And she sits down with Dom to discuss their raw and compelling new one-take television series, Adolescence, which is directed by Philip Barantini and written by Jack Thorne. And they'll be joining us for the second part of this cracking episode. But first of all, before we talk about Philip Barantini and Jack Thorne, what is it you talked about with Stephen Graham and Erin Doherty?
Well, we talked about, incredible performances from both of them. Stephen Graham, we talked about his collaboration with Jack Thorne, working on, I think it was 6 projects we agreed. we asked the figure to both Stephen and then Jack, and Jack was like, I think it's 6. And Stephen was like, I think it's 8. But it's somewhere between 6 and 8. Like they've worked together on a lot of stuff. They really trust each other. But I think it was just lovely to sit down with them both, because Stephen, from a developing sort of side of things, he's obviously got so much experience as an actor. But he cares about people so much. He's just such a warm, generous person. I mean, he spent so much of the interview, giving so much praise to Owen and his sort of performance, and Erin and Philip, and just, it wasn't about him. It was like, these are the amazing people that I work with. This is we talked about football team and just that camaraderie and team effort. So I mean, it was just great to sort of talk about him and his process and his authenticity, and Erin, again, like such a brilliant sort of go-get attitude. She's just an amazing person to meet and amazing on screen. And the psychology scene that she does when the boy's being like interviewed, it's honestly like one of the best things I've ever seen on television. It's really like an acting masterclass, and like the top level of acting you can possibly watch. It was just incredible, and they were just both lovely, like lovely people.
And I think that makes the difference, what you were saying there, the humbleness of them.
Yeah.
People only talk about Stephen and Erin in glowing terms, and it's like, we wish to work with them. Wouldn't it be great one day to work with these type of people?
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be in the Damned United with him, and I was gutted not to be able to come on and chat on this particular episode as well. It would have just been so nice to, just see him again. I did see him on the street recently, and foolish me, I went over to him, "Hey Stephen, how you doing?" He had that kind of like, "Yeah, all right, mate, you all right?" And I was like, does he remember me? And because I think he recognised me, but it could have been from the garage, giving him petrol, you know what I mean? It could have been from serving crisps in a pub. Yeah. It could have been that, and I stupidly didn't say, "Oh, we worked on the Damned United together." I just presumed that he would remember me, which is stupid because I had a wig on. Idiotic. Anyway, Stephen, if you're listening, it was me.
Giles often wears a wig for anyone that doesn't know him.
Yeah, I do. And also Philip, because Philip has been on the Filmmakers podcast before with Lucinda and myself, and we had a lovely chat then, and we've stayed in touch and we've connected, and I really wanted to see him again and chat to him about this incredible, another one-take film, I suppose, that we've done. I suppose you could say 4 films, because it's 4 episodes of the series. Yeah, 4 takes.
4-take series, one take episodes.
So it's all one take, basically shot it this way, like he did with Boiling Point. He's done the same here with Adolescence, which is just groundbreaking again and just beautiful. And the words from everyone that has watched this series is just blown away by how brilliant it is. Ashley Walters, who also stars in it, is fantastic in it too, as is the kid. So what we're going to do is we're going to do Dom's interview with Stephen and Erin first, and then we're going to jump to Philip and Jack. So let's talk about Philip and Jack after we've played the recording with Stephen and Erin. How's that sound?
Sounds good.
Good. Again, thank you so much to those people who've watched Food for Thought. I'm going to give it another plug because we're up to 26,000 views. Again, this is our little film that was stuck on YouTube with very little fanfare, and people are really liking it. So thank you if you've watched. If you haven't, please go subscribe. Please give it a like and a comment. You know how much it means to us. Anything like that does make a huge difference. Just really does, to get the algorithm going, get more people watching it. And hey, you never know, we might be making another one. But I'm literally a week away from making my next feature film.
For Thought.
Yeah, or as Dan called it. What did he say? Oh, I've forgotten it. It was really good.
I think mine was pretty good.
Second helpings. It's probably quite good. Yeah. More food.
Yeah.
Yeah. Please, more. So yes, thank you for those who've listened and watched that now. It's free on YouTube. Please go watch. Link is in show notes. Yeah, but we'll talk about my next film at the end, right? Because we are going to do film topic of this week, which is how to make a one-shot
one-take wonder.
Or one-take wonder. So that'll be our topic that me and Dom will talk about at the end, and also our film term of the week. All that to look forward to. First of all, though, let's get to the episode. This is Dom Lenoir chatting with Stephen Graham and Erin Doher.
Welcome to the Filmmakers Podcast. Huge congratulations. I mean, it's such an incredibly powerful series, and it's so hard to get dramas like this made. I constantly get told it's impossible, and they're such important stories that we need to tell. How are you both doing? Are you both incredibly proud, I hope, of what you've done?
Exceptionally, yeah.
I am. I watched it for the first time all in one sitting the other day, and I just never felt that necessity with a project before. I was like, oh my gosh, like this needs to be seen, and we need to be having these conversations. So that is what I'm most proud of, that I get to be a little slice of something so vital.
And Stephen?
She's wonderful.
Great answer. Good answer.
I mean it.
I'm very proud of it as a piece. You can imagine for me, it's a really interesting thing to see something come from in here, and then to watch the 4 episodes is mind blowing. Do you know what I mean? And to have that understanding that without Jack Thorne, who's a wonderful writer, and you've known Jack for years.
Yeah.
And you did The Virtues together.
Yeah, and This Is England, and
made me cry on that quite a few times.
Yeah, oh my, everyone.
Thank you very much. And Help, do you know what I mean? Yeah. We've had a wonderful relationship. I think I've worked with Jack on 8 projects, really.
Wow.
All of This Is England, and the TV series as well. So there was no one else for me that could have, wrote it and helped me pull it out of my head. So I'm just exceptionally proud of it as a piece.
So let's talk about how you both sort of got involved from you maybe on the idea sort of side and the development, and from you sort of getting cast and getting involved in such a, incredibly complex character as well.
As I've said before, I was reading an article and it was a young boy who'd stabbed a young girl to death. And I just kind of, it really rocked me to my core. And then a few months later, on the news, there was a piece on the news where a young boy, and they are boys, they're not men, do you know what I mean? Had stabbed a young girl to death in a completely opposite end of the country. I'll be completely truthful. It really hurt my heart, really. And I just thought, why? What kind of a society are we living in today where this kind of thing has happened? Do you know what I mean? And then from the context of, we knew we were going to make a one-shot series. We'd been asked to do that, so we knew we were going to do that. And then I just thought that this particular theme would make a really interesting drama, but try and flip it from the normal perspective. Do you know what I mean? And rightly so, in a conventional drama, you would see this point of view of the family of the victim. And rightly so, that's the normal perspective we would see. But this time I wanted to flip it. So I wanted to see the effect it would have on the family that's involved with it. And I wanted to eliminate those normal kind of, not cliche, because they are the reasons for why we would look at something like this from a normal conventional drama perspective. Whereas maybe his dad was violent, or mum's an alcoholic, or, Jamie was molested by an uncle or something like that. And I wanted to eliminate that and look at it from a different perspective. Do you know what I mean? A good, happy home, a hard-working father who's got his own business. He's a working class man who's worked really hard to get what he's got. Leaves the house at 6, doesn't get back till late at night and stuff like that. And mum's a really hard worker. Do you know what I mean? In my head, she works in the furniture department in John Lewis's. Do you know what I mean? She got a really good job. And then he's got a sister who's an A-level student. And to take that as our microcosm of this family, this nucleus of this family, and kind of see why this kind of thing would happen. And then maybe we're all accountable in many ways: family, school, social structure, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Politics, all of these things are responsible. And then also the influence elements that he can have in his bedroom and from his phone, do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, role models and influences and the sort of, masculinity and vulnerability and the incel sort of side of things. It looks at it in a way that actually helps you understand. Because, usually you just hear horrible person stabs this person, they're the victim, and you don't know what's going on in the background.
The complexities.
Of
course, yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
And episode 3 was basically, I said to Jack, okay, so in episode 3, what I want you to do is we meet this child psychologist and we meet Jamie again, and we haven't, maybe this is their 4th or 5th meeting. Again, in a conventional drama, you'd see it from the first time they meet each other. I said, and go away, Jack, and write me your version of a David Mamet play.
Okay.
And he was like, is that it? I went, yeah, there's your notes.
Just that, yeah.
And then
no
from the get-go, there was only one person who we wanted to play this role. Hannah, me and Hannah, straight away, we knew we wanted to play this role.
I mean, let's go into the role and maybe sort of lead from A to B, because that psychology scene, I mean, it's very rare on television to see something, or in film, or any moment to watch performance that is that engrossing and stunning. Like the levels of being able to flip from one emotion to another emotion, and being able to react from fear to gaining your composure. I mean, there's so much in that. I really hope you win many awards. I mean, it's an acting masterclass. How do you prepare for that? What was your, how do you get involved in the project? And then how do you prepare for that insanely complicated long scene that has so much in it?
I mean, to start at the beginning, we were working on another job, luckily enough, 1,000 blows. We were literally walking from the green room to set. And I remember being like, what are you working on at the minute? And you started talking to me about this project that you were writing with Jack Thorne, and it was going to be a one-shot thing. And I was like, this man is living the dream. And I just left it at that. And I was like, that's going to be incredible. I can't wait to see that. And then we wrap 1,000 blows. And a couple of months later, him and Hannah reach out and they're like, we'd like you to be a part of this thing. And I was and still am flabbergasted. They're just the most generous beings that I believe anyone will ever encounter. And if you do, then count yourself lucky, because they're just fantastic people. And so that's how it came into my life. And then I basically obviously read the script. I'd heard about it from them. They were like, it's essentially a chess match between these two people, and you're witnessing them try to understand one another and grapple with the realities of what's happening in that moment. So I knew that was the premise, but then I sat down, read the script, and knew I had to go and speak to a therapist. So I spoke to my old therapist, and kind of, I didn't want to dive. Basically, what I wanted to figure out was what it felt like to have that mental agility. Like, as you're saying, I think what I wanted people to witness was someone knowing their professional stance, but grapple with it at the same time. Like, essentially, I didn't want to be too good at my job, because otherwise you're just going to watch someone be a force field. Yeah.
Well, that's it. Because, I mean, you sort of have to go between someone that clearly, objectively is quite charmed by what on one side is quite a nice young man.
Yeah.
And then you're also grappling with, you're trying to get answers out and understand the fact that there's this disconnect between he's done something really horrible.
Yeah. So exactly that. I wanted to bring in as many layers as I could, and fight against the cliche of a psychologist sat in a room asking questions. But also, I don't want to take full credit for it. Like, it's the writing, but also it's Owen Cooper, who is just unreal. And I would work with him for the rest of my life if I could. I never felt like I was working with someone who hadn't worked before, or someone who was 14 years old. Like, it just felt like being in the room with a seasoned professional. Like, I was held by him as much as as I was holding him, he was holding me. It was just an absolute 50-50 down the line, back and forth. And that was what you got to see. And that doesn't happen necessarily, even like in any job, you might not get that. So to get that with Owen, knowing the context of how he came to this role, is just, so proud of him and happy for him that this project has, and hopefully will,
massively elevate
in the way that it will, because he deserves it.
Is it that kind of emotional intelligence and being able to go into those raw places? Is that kind of why you're interested in working together in the first place? Like, after that other project you sort of worked on?
Look, I'm in a very lovely position. I've been doing this for a little bit now, and I'm getting on a little bit in many ways. And I just want to work with wonderful people. Do you know what I mean? I want to work with people who are extremely talented, who really, understand the craft, and who are just wonderful on set. And you are one of them people. Do you know what I mean? And we've found another one of them gems in Owen. And I think that's one of the key elements of what we try to do with, from our aspect of Matriarch, and also from Warp and Phil and, Shaheen Beg, our wonderful casting director. We wanted to create an opportunity for a young lad and try and, maybe elevate him with a career. And Owen is one of those unique talents. I think he's a really unique talent. And hope, his mum and dad are wonderful. He comes from a really loving home, a really caring home. They're both so supportive. They're so proud of this young lad. Do you know what I mean? And he's absolutely smashed this role. His truthfulness and his authenticity was second to none. His decision making was phenomenal. And also the way he takes a note is unbelievable. Do you know what I mean? He'll play this note that he's been given so subtly and with such a beautiful backhand slice. Do you know what I mean? You don't even know it's coming. It's just wonderful. And I think we have managed to be able to create this opportunity for him. And now he's already, he's ditched us now. He's working with Margot Robbie.
I know.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
he
we've been
deserves all the credit he can get.
Yeah.
So a little bit, just we've got a couple of minutes left to sort of talk about maybe working with directors. Let's talk about Philip. How do you rehearse such long scenes? Because, we talked about notes, but like, how do you fit in the time to give notes when you're going for such a long time? And that sort of thing. Do you do like rehearsals? Do you do lots of read throughs in advance? Like, what was that kind of process in advance of these big sort of marathon
speeches?
Well, we rehearsed for longer than we shot.
A week?
We rehearsed.
Right.
So it was essentially choreography. Like, it's just everyone coming together from day one, being on the same page, so that you essentially, what Phil so expertly did was he made a team. Like, we were all kind of, I think
it's a footy team.
It really is that. And he really understands that if one person doesn't like step up, the rest of us, like, so actually, like, what he made was a team, like one creative mind, so that, because naturally we're human beings, when it comes to doing the takes, some things are going to go wrong, or things aren't going to go the way you plan them. But actually, what he was able to do and set the stage for was that being a positive thing, and teaching us to lean in and go, oh, okay, well, that's going to happen in take 4 then. We're going to take it down this route, and you're going to throw that at me. Okay, well, that's just going to be what happens now. And everything was a positive. Like, at the end of every take, whatever shifted, he'd come up to us individually and be like, I loved this. Like, everything he was just fueling the organic nature of this thing. And he understood that as actors, that's how you get the best out of us, is to let us make mistakes, try things, experiment and play. And he just set the stage for that.
And without sounding pretentious, do you know what I mean? Look, athletes have this moment of when they're in the flow. And I do compare it massively, this particular exercise, to a footy team, because each one is a player, do you know what I mean? But in the mass, we can't do what we do without anyone. And I don't mean just as us as actors, I mean the crew. The phenomenal abilities of our crew is unbelievable, you know, from Sarah, who's the first AD, who ran that ship like, it was military process.
It has to be, yeah.
It has to be. Matt, a wonderful DOP, do you know what I mean? And who was unbelievable, and a hell of a cameraman. And then what happens is, and Lee as well, who was our other cameraman, do you know what I mean? Because you need 2 cameramen, because they have to pass the camera to each other along the way. It has to be taken off the jib and, you know, put onto it's unbelievable. But within that process, what happens is, and again, I don't mean to sound pretentious, but as an actor, you're in the most zen flow you can ever be, because as soon as he says action, you're completely absorbed and you're in it. And what you manage to do is you marry both disciplines. So you have that beautiful live spontaneity of theatre, but then you have the craft and the minimalism and the naturalism of film and television acting. So you bring both of those things together, do you know what I mean? And each and every single person is so immersed within what we're trying to do and our overall objective as a collective. And you do have that kind of, again, I don't mean to sound pretentious, but you do have a collective consciousness.
Yeah, you do. It feels that way.
And you're all going towards this one end goal, do you know what I mean? To achieve the best we can and to do the best we can of our possible abilities and bring it all to the table. So you don't leave anything behind. Do you know what I mean? And then especially with respects to the family, with me and Christine in that final episode, you go on a hell of a journey together, do you know what I mean? And that's another thing that we wanted to do. We wanted to show different perspectives along this story.
Thank you very much.
I hope we've achieved that, do you know what I mean? If anything, we want to create conversation in the house.
Yeah, and I think you've done an incredible job of that, and it's a very thought-provoking series, and it's definitely one that's emotionally resonant. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
And huge congratulations.
Thank you very much. Cheers, mate.
Amazing. Dom, well done. That was great.
Thank you.
Really cool.
Might be my favourite interview of the year contender. Definitely up there.
Wow, that's high praise.
I mean, it just felt like it went really well. And it's often down to who you're interviewing and like how open they are and how nice they are, and you know, it just you want to sort of go in there and think, yeah, I'm glad these people are succeeding.
Yeah, absolutely. And also they've been sat there it's a junket. You're in a junket type situation. So sometimes, as we've said to you before, lovely listener, when we do a junket, they've could have done 20 in a row,
but not like the Filmmakers Podcast. Not like
but
they both look like they genuinely had fun. Like they did enjoy the interview, which is why we always get a picture so we can remember that they did have fun.
But the fake smiles. But not only that, but you can actually see that they had fun because this was filmed as well.
Yes.
So this is on our YouTube now. So speaking of YouTube, please go do give our Filmmakers Podcast a watch, a like, a share, a comment. Let the subscribers grow, because actually we might one day get monetized for the Filmmakers Podcast YouTube.
That would be nice,
as well.
Yep.
It would be nice to get some pennies back for Dom's time and effort. And
stop living in the dustbin.
is that where you are now? Oh, that's nice. It's probably biggest, most flats in London, to be fair.
Yeah. So, more luxurious.
Smells better sometimes. Depends what people have eaten. But so do that. So you can watch Dom and how great you say in the interview is. Go and watch Stephen Graham and Erin Doherty.
Yeah.
And you can also watch Philip Barantini and Jack Thorne. Yeah. Philip being the director and Jack Thorne the writer, on YouTube now.
It actually went so good that I didn't even have any nervousness walking into the other interview. It doesn't matter how many times you do this. Like, there is something absolutely abject terror about sitting in like a hallway on a chair, like and then just strolling into a TV studio with like all the cameras on you and having to like deliver like an interview. It's always like horrible, but as soon as you get in there and you connect and you share your sort of love of film, it sort of goes away. But there was just like there was zero nerves going into the second interview because it was such a nice experience. And that's very much down to them, to be fair. It is down to them.
That's good too. And I think because they know it's difficult for interviewers as well. And I think Philip's been on both sides as well.
Yeah.
He has done a podcast himself. He has interviewed people. And obviously he's been an actor for a long time, so he totally gets that world. And now he's smashing it. And if people don't know who Philip Barantini is, he's just an incredible director.
You shouldn't be in film, really.
Yeah, I know. It's that good. He made Boiling Point, the wonderful feature film based on a short film. In the first place, also called Boiling Point. They turned into a feature, one-take feature film. And he'd also directed a movie called Villain as well, which did incredibly well. And writer Jack Thorne, well, he's multi-award winning. He made his Dark Materials, National Treasure, Help. What else has he done? I mean, just list goes on.
He's done The Wonder. I think he did. Did he do Good Nurse with Christy Wilson Cairns?
I think he might have. No,
I can't remember if he did or not. Double check that one. Jack Thorne, but he's done about 100. He's done about 100 things that we've had on the Filmmakers Podcast, and we've always done because he's so good at co-writing. We've always done the co-writer. He's done the Aeronauts as well. We had the director on for that.
Oh yes.
Yeah. We always seem to dart around him. Joy, which we did the director for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. The Swimmers, we did that one.
He's been around and he's fantastic.
He's been around, He's done so much stuff.
He's done really well. So what a treat. What did you discuss?
Well, we just discussed, his collaboration with Stephen Graham and also sort of Philip Barantini. Just about how he seems to be such an accurate writer. Like we're talking about, did you need to adjust this or adjust that? Even for the sort of the one shot type of thing. I was talking to Phil about that, and he was like, no, I mean, what he wrote, we shot, which is kind of miraculous when you think about how complicated the one shot side is. So we talked about going back to the football team thing, like everyone being on the same page, how to sort of make sure that the writing and the script and everything, it's all just part of one team. We also talked about the actual process of how to do a one shot, because it obviously sounds incredibly impossible. And one of the sort of main takeaways was going into this idea of sort of muscle memory as one sort of concept. Rehearsing, like weeks of everybody getting in line with exactly what was going to happen in these takes. But then the flip side, I guess, that was really interesting was Philip Barantini's approach, which is very much just allowing people to not only fail, but sort of go off on tangents and just sort of do their own thing. And that was another way to, avoid things going wrong, or having takes that sort of where people get things fluff up their line, or they do something differently and then they have to cut the whole thing. So there's this sort of element of support and just community that allows everyone to just flourish and get into the zone. So it seems like just a brilliant way to work.
Oh, it's brilliant. There's some great behind the scenes already circulating on social media, and especially the moment where they've just done a take and it's just saying thank you everyone, because it must be so hard work. The camera moves, the hour, just getting it right, and worrying that if someone messes up, you know what I mean? It's like, oh my god, you got to like 87 minutes or whatever. It's like, oh, just messed up. Oh my god, drop the camera, just out of focus. Exactly. Anything else? This could be anyone. Well, we're going to talk about doing a one shot after this as well. So let's get to the interview that Dom did with Philip Barantini, the director, and the writer Jack Thorne of Adolescence.
Yeah.
Now, and we'll see you on the other side of it.
So how are you both doing? I mean, massive congratulations on this. This is like,
thank you.
So powerful. How are you sort of feeling? You must be very proud and pleased with I'm guessing the reception so far from who's seen it.
I'm incredibly proud. I've been proud since we were shooting it, you know what I mean? Proud of everybody involved, but it's a strange one really, because now we're here doing this, and it's like, it all started with just a little idea, and and then it grew and grew and grew, and Jack and everyone got involved, and it was just like, it's just still our baby, in a way, and now our baby's off to uni.
To be absorbed and make people think about it. I mean, I guess it's such a thought-provoking and powerful set of discussions and topics. And we sort of talked about the one shot with Stephen a minute ago.
Okay,
that was a sort of the start point from what I heard. Can you talk about how you both got involved? I know you've worked with Stephen on, I think he's at 8 projects or something like you.
Wow, he's inflating it.
Just a couple,
I like it.
Well, a lot of projects.
Anyway. We've done 6. This is our 6th.
6, okay, yeah. Because you did the Virtues, and which was incredible as well. And you've done Boiling Point as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the start point, how this began to grow into a.
Well, it all started with a general meeting that I had with Plan B, and they had seen Boiling Point and said to me, we're really interested in doing something in the one take world, but in the TV space with you and Stephen. How do you feel about that? And I was like, really? Again? And I sort of went away and thought about it. I was like, no, this could be really cool, and so they just said, go away and have a think of an idea.
And pop the stress levels again for the one shot.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Think about an idea, and so me and Steve were just driving in a car on the way somewhere, and at the time there'd been a few incidences of these knife crime, but it wasn't just it was young men, young boys killing young girls, and there's been a couple of them, and we both sort of were like, why is this happening? Why are these kids being drawn to pick up a knife and stab a girl? Like what's causing that? And so the idea is just sort of, Stephen just was throwing all these things at me in the car, and I'm like, this is brilliant. And then cut to a couple of months later, and we sort of pitched it back to the producers, and then we got Warp Films on board, and everyone was like really excited about it, and we're like, right, who are we going to get to sort of write this? And Stephen's obviously worked with Jack loads. He's like, I might just ask Jack. I was like, what? Do you think he'd do it? Oh my God. I was like, oh, I would literally love to work with Jack. Anyway, Steve pitched it to him, and Jack was like, no, I won't write it, but I will write it with you. We'll do it together. And then it was just like, oh my gosh. So they went away, and sort of we were, back and forth loads. And I think what for me is like, at every step of the way, the passion and the excitement for the project has been sort of unmatched, really. Anything that I've ever done. So my passion for it at the beginning with Stephen, it was like electric, and then Jack comes on board, and he has the equal energy and for the project and feeling that we and it's just been like that since the start, really. And everyone, all down to the AD team, like Sarah, my first AD, who's just wonderful. Like,
we heard she was good. We heard she got a shout out in the casting.
She's the best.
That's amazing.
Yeah, and Shaheen, who cast all the kids, the whole team. When we were like sort of interviewing people, most of the team were my team that I've used on previous projects, but If we were interviewing somebody new, I would explain what we were doing. And if they had any doubt, then we'd just be like, look, this is not for you then,
Yeah.
Love to work with you in the future, but maybe not on this project, because you need someone to come in and go, oh my God, yeah, we could try this. Or, we could do it this way, whatever. And you're like, yes, that's the energy we need,
Yeah. I mean, it's just so enormously complicated.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk about the co-writing, because we've actually done so many of your movies, probably as many as Stephen's done with the other writers or the directors on projects. So you're obviously very good at co-writing, and it's not an easy thing. Like, I mean, some people write on their own, some people write in sort of tandem, but you've got to be very adaptive. And it sounds like this is a project where everyone's sort of flexing together as the sort of direction moves. So how do you sort of work together in terms of forming a story like this from idea into script? I mean, do you write in one person does one scene, then you go back, or do you do dialogue polishes? Like, what's the kind of process on this one?
In terms of the actual process of writing, the typing, I did the typing.
Okay, you did the typing. Okay, yeah.
But the thing was the talking.
Talking, right.
And that's the thing of just kind of working it out. And the big thing on this project was they had this sort of we want to talk about knife crime, but then it was, why did Jamie do it? And actually, we wrote quite a lot of Ep 1 before we'd worked that out.
Mm-hmm.
And then we rewrote it after we'd worked it out. And we were going all over the place with lots of different ideas as to Jamie's motive. And then someone I worked with, Mariella, said, I think you need to look at incel culture. Now, she's a younger person, and she was more plugged into it all. And as soon as we did that, and as soon as I started looking into how that whole thing works and going down some dark warrens.
Very dark warrens, yeah.
The whole thing just sort of opened up for me. I then understood what Ep 2 was. I understood what Ep 3 was. And to some degree, I understood what Ep 4 was. And then as soon as I had that understanding, then I would write. I would send to Steve. Steve would then give me some thoughts. I would rewrite, and then would send to the whole group. And then get some thoughts, and then Steve and I would talk, and then I'd write again. And, so it was that process. It was talking, writing, talking.
Was there any difficulty in terms of the TV format as opposed to film, in terms of how you structure the different sections? I mean, we talked about episode 1, which is basically the arrest. And then we sort of go into the school, and then we go into the child psychologist, and we sort of build things out. And it works very well in a sort of structural sense. But was that clear at the start? I mean, how did you sort of fill the other bits around? Because that does seem quite complicated, how to,
That's the hardest thing, but that's also the real benefit of it.
Right.
That when you're working on a show, everyone is always looking for the complete, right? Audiences are looking for the complete. They're going, okay, I want to know what's happening here. Who's he? What's this? How's this process working? What advice has been given here? How's this person feeling here? And you can't do that with this. And you're forced into the incomplete, and you're forced into the partial. And that is a really interesting place to live in terms of writing. And I knew that the camera couldn't cut, but I didn't write with the possible in my head. I always sort of went, they can do anything.
Yeah.
and that my job.
Fill a work out.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
But it's a weird thing, right? So, and this is going to seem like a really weird thing to draw parallel with, but I did Harry Potter on the stage, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. And with that, I never once worried about how we do something on stage. It was always like, okay, I'm going to go for it. And then we're going to sit in a room and we're going to talk about it, and we're going to try and find a way of doing it. Because if you write with a conservative sort of hat on, if you write with the sort of link, then you don't get to see this guy going, okay, I can make a camera fly.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You've got to sort of force those questions by just taking big swings.
Yeah.
And then seeing
what happens at the other end with those swings. And so few of the big swings I wrote in, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, cars and windows and people chasing and, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, all these mad shit. So little of that, Phil went, nah, that doesn't work. And when he did say that doesn't work, it was generally because he knew it would look shit, rather than because he didn't know how to do it technically.
No, I love that. I love that sort of approach. And like, I mean, I always feel when I read stuff as well, and like, you know, I feel like it's the duty of the director and the producer to figure out how to do something. And sometimes those limitations make something really impossible done in a really unusual way that's actually really original.
Yeah.
And when you take it away, you just sort of end up with this vanilla level where no one's aspiring to, you know, fail on a big level. And I think it's good to aim to fail.
Well, it's about taking risks. And like what Jack said, you know, I read a script and there was rarely moments where I'd be like, ooh, not sure how we're going to do that. Like,
I had moments when I was watching, I was like, I mean, like the playground, I was like, shit, how...
Yeah.
How on earth do you do that?
I wrote a fire drill. I wrote an entire fire drill.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I was like, the first AD team must be having panic attacks.
Yeah. The producer, Joe Johnson, still hates me. Still hates me to this day for that. 350 kids she had to cope with.
Yeah.
Because of me. Yeah,
because of you, man.
I wrote a fire drill. I said, I'll bring the whole school together.
Sitting in your armchair at night, like,
yeah. Let me see what they do.
Yeah.
But no, it's you know, it does it. I always like to think outside the box anyway, and so you know, with a one take, you've got no. It always has to serve the story, right? It can't be just like, oh, let's do this amazing, cool thing, because if it's not, and it's just like. The audience, you're going to lose the audience. You don't want them to ever think about the one take. You don't want them to ever sort of be like, look how clever they are. Look what they're doing now. I mean, we do fly off on a drone and then land it, which is ridiculous.
Pretty clever.
But it's the end of the movie, and it's more, you know, ethereal than like one of the rules that we always had was the camera never leaves a person. It's always got to be attached to somebody, and they cross over and whatnot.
Otherwise, you say it looks like a computer game.
Otherwise, it looks like a computer game. And you don't want the audience to ever feel like they're watching the camera. It's got to be a subconscious extra feeling layer of, you know, tension and anxiety at times. But also,
it does make you very anxious, like watching it, like especially when you're like just stuck in a zone with someone in a very intense.
Well, you can't turn away. You know what I mean? It's like if someone stares at you for ages and it starts to become uncomfortable, you're a bit like, I don't really. You know what I mean? It's that.
Did you ever forget that you're watching a one take?
I mean, quite often, yeah. I mean, most of the time, I sort of get sort of sucked into the performances and you know the story of it. But there's, I mean, look, as a filmmaker, I think it's slightly different because you're looking at it and you're just like, the playground. I'm just thinking, like, oh, how the hell are you doing this? Or you know, other bits. And then I suppose, you know, you're less aware when it's the sort of the other side of the one take where you're like in the car with, you know, Stephen and his family, and it's just holding, because that's, again, you're not aware of the camera, but I'm aware, like, well, there's such a huge amount of notes, you know, for the actors to hit, you know, in one go. Like that's just as hard for them, you know, performance side.
But isn't it interesting that if you were doing a car journey, you would have 4 or 5 angles on it?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, Phil got 1.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, and that in itself...
Equally tricky, yeah.
Like, the moment for me when the whole project came alive was watching rehearsals for Ep 3, which is our first one we shot, and seeing Matt had an iPad while you were directing the actors. He had an iPad, and seeing that he was going to sit on Erin's face for 9 lines of dialogue rather than doing the 1, 2, 1, 2, 2 shot. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, and just going, oh, this whole thing is going to be about artistic choice, and it's going to unleash the show in a totally different way from the way that most shows are made. Yeah,
I mean, let's jump into that while we're on it. I mean, because the psychology scene, I think, is one of the best things I've seen on television. Like, I mean, her performance and his performance, Owen's as well. And they're both like unbelievably good. And there's so many layers to it, and so many really interesting like flips in how they're reacting to each other. How do you choose whose face to be on? Because I mean, you know, you could miss something gold when you're on one person, and then the other person is. I mean, was that sort of found through rehearsals? Like, did you ever like write in the writing side, like this bit is on this person, or is that?
No, I don't think there was any of that. But Jack was in we did 3 week blocks. It was for each episode. So we do first week would be just rehearsal with the actors, me, actors. Jack was in the room working stuff out. Making seeing what worked and stuff. And it's partly an instinctive thing. It's because you can hear a pin drop in that episode, and I think if you're holding on somebody's face and you're just hearing the other person, like for example, we did a radio interview yesterday, right? And I heard Jamie's, they played a bit of episode 3 and I could only hear it. I couldn't see it. It was the first time I'd experienced it like that, just hearing his voice. And it did something else. I was like, I knew exactly I could picture him, what he was doing, but because I couldn't see him, I was so like, it just heightened it for me. And I was like, oh, it sounds different. It sounds like, and so it was a conscious choice about where we who we look at what particular time. And
you were bearing it quite a lot through.
We were trying it.
And that was the really interesting thing. And I remember the moment when you just went, actually, we are going to just sit on his face for this section. And I found it really difficult as a writer to go, oh, but there's all this beautiful things happening here.
Yeah.
But it was just so.
But you leave that up to the audience's imagination as well.
And Matt and Phil, when they are a sort of two-headed animal. Do you know what I mean? And they are, but they communicate with like a. Do you know what I mean? Or a thing. Do you know what I mean? And so it's not like
shrug one way or the other.
There's not like big discussions about everything. It's just kind of like, and you just see it between the two of them where they're just, they know each other. They know each other so well that they speak a sort of non-verbal. It's telepathy.
We would like shoot all the rehearsals and then we go and watch it back and be like, no, maybe this needs to be just slightly over this side or hold on a 2-shot there or whatever, But yeah, it's about those transitions as well. As like, it's important to, you're not going there and then suddenly whipping around to this one. It's like, it has to feel.
There's a reason for it.
Yeah. And also the pace as well of the camera moves is really important,
I mean, I suppose another question that it really like got me thinking about is the subtext of when you're looking at someone reacting to something versus when you're actually seeing them say the thing. Because when you're watching the reaction, obviously you're getting the feeling of how that person is reacting to the, when they're shouting or they're saying a line. But then also there's like, I guess it allows the audience to fill in the gaps in some traditional moments when you would naturally just assume by what you're seeing that they're doing it a certain way. So maybe it's like, I don't know, it felt to me like it was expanding how you think about some of these, the senses and like, what someone's intentions are and like what the wider meaning is of dialogue.
A prime example of what you're saying there was in episode 1 where Jamie's being strip searched.
Yeah.
And one of the ideas initially, we've got a 13-year-old boy. We can't have him like, it was like from the moment that I read that, I was like, that's amazing. But we can't have the actor strip naked because he has to strip to get changed because we can't cut and then suddenly he's in his clothes.
Yeah.
So we really sort of worked out how we were going to do that. So at that point, Jamie goes behind a curtain where nobody can see him. He quickly gets changed, but the whole time we're holding on Stephen's face. And then later on, we put in the sound of his footsteps, like just moving across and turning around. And also the Connery plays the police officer who's talking him through it and saying, turn around, face me. Those words and seeing Stephen's reaction is, you don't need to see him.
No. I mean, you get so much
what's going on.
The awkward, I mean, it makes it all more awkward in a way because you're just, you're having to experience it through the eyes of someone that really doesn't want this to be happening.
Exactly. And you can see him, the little nuances in Stephen's face is like he's really going through this,
Yeah, and I suppose that's quite nice for the act. Not nice in that scene, but it's nice for the actors when they're also, it's almost like you, the director, sort of coaching them through the take because they're giving the directions and then they've got something to sort of like all these marks to hit. So it's kind of it does. I mean, it's very.
I mean, it's like doing a play. I guess you are on stage the whole time. You've got to be in character the whole time. And I think what that does for the actors is like, it forces them to be able to be in the moment and be present.
And it empowers them.
And it empowers them, to be able to. One of the things I always said to them was, look, if something goes awry or something goes wrong, you mess up your lines, don't worry about it. Just keep going because the other person will be there to pick you up.
That's it. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because that's what we are. We're a close-knit team and family, and we've all got each other's back.
Yeah, I think we had a football analogy from
you'll always get one from Stephen, yeah. It's always a football analogy.
Yeah. but it's true. I mean, I suppose that's kind of what it is like if actors, in an ideal world, they're always listening to each other and reacting, and they're not breaking character. Like they're just simply, ping-ponging, hitting the back on every bit of dialogue.
Yeah.
And I suppose you sort of hit perfection in that kind of, that world.
Well, it was about casting actors who can do that, because a lot of the time we would audition people and you can just see the type of actor they are, and it's fine. They're doing their thing, but you have to be empathetic, and you have to be able to put your attention on the other person, as opposed to thinking about what you're going to do.
Yeah, you can't. It just won't work if you're in your head, or it's like a sort of a performance.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work with this kind of drama because you have to be able to. I feel like in a way, like it's the sort of the catharsis of like being able to watch something like this is that you can actually just feel sad with the characters.
Yeah,
and you can sort of feel their pain, and it actually makes it manageable in
a
strange kind of way.
I mean, I also like I tend to not give too many notes to actors, but if I do give a note, I will tend to give the other actor the note for this actor.
Yeah,
because
good,
because the type of actors that I've chosen and we've cast, I know how they all work. So, for example, with Owen in episode 3, I didn't give Erin any notes throughout the whole process. Maybe tiny ones, but like maybe logistical ones, but not. Because I know she's a very reactive actor. And I know whatever I told Owen to do, she would just go with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Same with Stephen. Stephen's a prime example of that. Like, you've got to be on top of your game. You've got to be listening to him.
Yeah.
Because he'll call you out right in the middle of it.
Your plot, not pep.
Am I Klopp?
Yeah,
I love
not
that.
pep.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or slot, maybe in this case. He's doing very well.
Yeah.
Doing very well, yeah. So, I mean, just briefly going sort of to the, back to the one take, so my mind's sort of drifting into the episode 1 where you're like choosing, characters. How does that script change from how you've written it? Because I suppose in that episode, especially when you get into the police station, you're flipping from one, actor to another as it sort of jumps across. That almost to me, like I can imagine the script just being like condensed to absolutely essential moments when you're flipping, or was it all in there?
It was all in there.
It was all in there. Okay. Because I mean, it looks quite complicated to manage all those different like.
But that's the joy of it. Do you know what I mean? Like that you knew that you had the baton passing, and do you know what I mean? Like and that thing of just keeping the camera moving. What we did do quite a lot of was change things, adapt things when we discovered the space and how much. But the space was made. That police station was made. Adam created that police station for the script.
Yeah,
and I don't know how much he thought about it, but it felt like he thought about how many steps we need in order so that when we're on the top level, we've enough time has passed for a certain dialogue moment to happen. So it was just kind of like it was joined up thinking, but the script needed to be very secure in order to allow everyone to do their thing.
Is there any issue with? I mean, obviously you've got very good actors, but like you can't sort of get away with a background actor or
again 350 children. 350
children. You can't get away with anyone that's like slightly fluffing in the background. Or I mean, it's a thing that happens sometimes. An actor that's like a day player, maybe they haven't done a role in a while, or maybe it's just they're not in the right vibe. There's a bit of nerves. And like it's not just you. Like if you like bugger it up, it's like the entire like 20-minute take.
Yeah,
I mean, obviously
an hour take.
Yeah, an hour take. So I mean, obviously you're talking about the football team thing that I'm guessing comforts everyone. But like, did you have any issues with like people that you cast that were like, you know, getting into those kind of territory and like how did you sort of
maybe we're
that?
getting a bit left back that's getting a bit old that can't keep up with the play anymore. Yeah. I see where you're going.
Well, I think like we rehearsed it for 2 weeks.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
And so we did. The first week was just me and the actors. The second week was a tech rehearsal. So on that tech rehearsal, everybody's in. So we got 5 days with, you know, all of the crew, every single member of the crew, and all of the SAs as well. So they know the moves. They know it. So on a normal shoot,
I suppose it's like muscle memory in a way.
Exactly
like you're pushing them into like comfort by routine in a way.
But I think I think the thing that they learned during that time was that it was theirs.
Yeah.
I actually think it was about them being confident enough to go, this is mine. Whatever happens, I've got control of this. And actually seeing, because Stephen's got this sort of like, you know, these shoulders that just come out, whatever. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, but seeing the other actors find their shoulders was one of the best things about the project. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, seeing Ashley Walters just kind of like, just go, this is mine.
Ashley was terrified on day one of rehearsals. He's told me that since. He's like, he didn't know whether he could do it, whether he could pull it off. And
wow. He was great.
He was
great. Rests on his back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, with all this chaos going all the way through it, and he tells the story on his face.
Yeah.
And that was about him just going, this is mine.
I love the armor that the different characters have, like him and the other officer, like at the start in the car. Like the way that they like, you sort of see their vulnerabilities and they're like, they're a little dynamic. And then you see this like quite hard, and you think, well, why are they being so hard? And then obviously as the story develops, you realize that they've got to put on this armor. And same with the psychologist, like you've got to have this armor to protect you against.
Everybody's got two masks.
Two masks.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So, I mean, just sort of going into getting stuff like this made. I mean, now you're obviously both in positions where you can get drama made. I mean, I've had 2 conversations in the last, 3 or 4 months saying drama's impossible. Don't ever try and make drama. Like, it's not hard. It's just like impossible. How did you navigate that when you were both like starting off, like trying to get these kind of meaningful stories like off the ground and into production?
It is hard. Yeah. I mean, for me, I started out as an actor.
Yeah.
So I sort of I came up that way, and sort of it's all about performance for me. So whenever I read something, it's got to speak to me. I read stuff as with an actor's brain, I guess. So I think I can hear the voices, I can visualize it, and so I think the drama for drama's sake is probably that is hard. But if the drama is sort of saying something, like this, for example, about society, or if it speaks to a certain type of people, then I think we need drama.
Yeah,
we need drama. It's never going to go away.
No.
So I think finding the right projects, and for me personally, like even back when I was starting out, it's like I feel like if I read something and I'm not 100% immersed in it straight away, then it doesn't mean it's a bad script or it's a bad project. It just means that I'm not the right person to move
or it's not personal enough. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to feel it, and I have to really, it has to really take me on a journey,
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, I just would never do a project unless it like personally, gets some kind of reaction. And what about you? What's your?
I think that, I think drama is in crisis at the moment, and I'm worried about young writers, and I'm worried about what opportunities they're being given, and I'm worried that they're being forced to think conservatively about a medium that doesn't have to be conservative.
Yeah,
and that we're tricking ourselves into a situation where everything has to be a crime drama in order to get an audience,
or genre. I mean, that's,
and that's commissioning. That's everything. Do you know what I mean? Like, and we need young voice. We need the next Jimmy McGovern. We need the next Michaela Cole.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and arming those people in this climate is really, really tough. And and there's got to be big conversations about what this industry wants to be.
Yeah.
When this transition, when the end of terrestrial, when that transition happens, how we handle that as a country, and how we make sure that, you know, we're worldwide leaders in this stuff. I'm not saying we're the leader, but we're leaders in this stuff. We do stuff really well.
Yeah.
And we do stuff really well because we've made talents that feel power, feel their own power. And at the moment, I don't see young writers being given that power at all. And it's...
Or directors. I mean, it just seems everyone's like pushed into genre. And in the UK, there's just no risks or support being taken. You know, it's
and that's exciting. And that's why this from Netflix is exciting, because they are taking a shot at this. And, you know, and I just did the show Toxic Town, which similarly was, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, Netflix taking a risk on social realism, and hopefully they keep doing it. You know, we need to prove that there is an audience for this stuff. And if we can prove there is an audience for this stuff, then maybe more of this stuff gets made.
On that note, let's support good drama. And lovely to chat to you both. And keep making good stuff.
Awesome.
Thanks, man.
Well, see you on the next.
If you haven't seen Adolescence yet, watch it now. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. It's fantastic. It's just incredible filmmaking.
Almost too good.
It is, isn't it? It's almost too good. It's been blowing people away as it should, and just fair play to Phil. I mean,
and opening conversation as well. Like that's what's so amazing about it, is it doesn't just sort of present the usual cliche of sort of good versus evil. It shows the environment in which these kind of things happen, which is, you know, so fascinating. Like what causes these guys to do these like horrible crimes, and what's going on behind it, what's the culture, what's the other side of the story. I mean, it's fascinating.
And how important it is to speak to your kids, and how important it is to speak to each other as much as possible. You know, speak to your friends, how you're getting on. If someone's feeling down or whatever, you can be there for them. And especially in this situation, how difficult it is to be a child in these days of social media, and how you do need to talk to them sometimes. You need to give them space, of course, but also you can be there and say, talk to me, I'm here, let me help if I can. It must be so difficult. But yes, wow. So go watch Adolescence if you haven't. Incredible. Let's talk about one-shot filmmaking. And as much as both me and you haven't done this on a feature, I know I've wanted to. I've talked about it a lot. There's a project that I've working with Toby on, actually, that we said this would make a great one-shot feature film. This would be really interesting.
Your autobiography about a snail?
Exactly. But it would be, you know, it's something that would be fascinating for me as well. You remember the Zidane documentary?
Yeah.
Where it just followed him. I thought, well, wouldn't this be interesting to do that with an animal, you know, that's in captivity? You're sort of going, oh, fuck, actually, all the people who go to zoos or see dolphins and stuff when they're in, you know, they're in the swimming pool and they're just there. It's like, really? Okay, this is what it's really like. This is horrendous.
Yeah.
And something that's hard hitting. But I think that's what if you're going to do a one-shot movie, it can't be a gimmick.
No,
you know, it just can't be. One Shot was great, by the way. If you haven't seen One Shot, the action movie, and the second one as well.
Two Shot.
I think One Shot. It would be, but I think it's One Shot more actually. Two Shot, because people think it's made in 2 shots. Yeah. That's great. James Nunn made those. But I think
done and dusted.
I think if you've got a reason for it, why you're doing it that way.
Yeah.
You're not just doing it for the sake of it. I think it's really, really worth thinking about, because you can rehearse. You know, you don't need your 19-day shoot, you know, just rehearse it and shoot over 4 days and you've got your film. But you've really got to think about it. Yeah. What about you? What have you ever thought, hey, I'd like to do a one-shot movie?
I'd love to do it, but it would have to be something where there was a real need for the action and the movement. I haven't quite thought, because I mean, there's loads of like good drama that I can think of that I'd be, I'd love to do this as a one shot. But I think it's that element of like, okay, why are we sticking with them? What's the benefit of switching characters here? And I think for me it would have to be like a really like clear concept, where like, okay, this is why we're doing this, and maybe it's something like very intense with a lot of people, like that kind of setting, like, you know, like a football stadium or something like that, where there's an element of, okay, why are we moving to so many different people? So I think that might be interesting to get lots of perspectives rather than like sticking with like 2 or 3 or 5 characters. I'd really like to explore like the wider psychology of like a situation, perhaps. Maybe even in a Warzone film. I mean, that would be quite interesting to sort of flip backwards and forwards.
Well, interestingly, that's what one of them I was thinking about, but someone's trapped inside a building. So therefore we can kind of contain it a bit more. So the action, like the explosions are happening outside or through a window. So you can do that a bit later with CG or something. Yeah. Again, it's thinking about budgets and...
Yeah. Or a firefighting thing. Yeah.
That, I mean, wouldn't that be amazing to get a one shot where you actually, it'd be so difficult. Yeah. But I mean, I've done, certainly the way I like to direct is if there's a big scene, I'll kind of do it as a wanna. It's kind of a moving master wanna. So I try and capture everything. And then if I can't because of certain situations or the need to pick up something or do something. I don't know how you feel about this, but I often shoot scenes as I plan it as a moving master wanna anyway. And then if I need to cut in on stuff, then I will do it that way. I don't know. I like it.
I think it's always good to aim for that. But I also feel like it depends what your limitations are and how complicated what you're doing is, because obviously the pro of that is like if every, say you've got 10 actors in a scene, and I mean, let's say we're doing something really ambitious and 9 of them have incredible performances, and one you've just not had enough time, or they've arrived and you haven't like been able to talk them through or get through a block or something else. And it's like if you're just aiming to shoot that one sequence and there's like even one small moving part, or maybe it's a bit of scenery or production design that doesn't work, then you're kind of trapped a little bit in that situation. So I guess, in an ideal sort of dream world, I'd always love to do it. But the other side of things is I would always rather have the coverage so that I can get out of, something that maybe isn't as ideal as I'd like it. So I agree with you. It depends what level you're, what budget, what time, who you've got sort of cast, what the set limitations or action challenges are. Like there's all those kind of things. So in an ideal world, then yes, but also no.
It's kind of the Steven Spielberg way. He shoots wannas in most of his scenes. He doesn't cut away, it stays there.
That's right.
Which is really not, he's moving, like his moving master will be close-ups and wides.
But he has a different situation. I mean, this is probably somewhere in the middle, but in terms of like time, like if he's doing a one shot, it may even be that they have the whole morning to rehearse it and then they have the whole afternoon to, shoot the scene. It might even be over 2 days. If we're talking like a 2 to 5 minute scene or something. So there's so much time to tweak those little things and get them perfect. Whereas if you're doing it sort of on the semi-indie side, that's where it becomes a bit more tricky. I mean, I think on something like this, it's a Netflix production, it's a limited series. You've got some very good quality like collaborators. There's probably just enough room to be able to like fine tune it to this perfection level that we're at. Whereas if you're trying to do this on like an indie film that was shot in like 17 days or something without a long rehearsal period, it would probably be a very different story in terms of like how achievable it was as sort of very high end production.
It's so true. You're absolutely right. It just depends on the situation, doesn't it? It sounds great. Let's go shoot a one-shot movie. But if you haven't got the team, if you haven't got the team around you, it's really difficult. But I do love shooting a one. I love it because I know there's nothing better than going, oh my God, I've covered the scene and now we can move on to the harder stuff or the more difficult stuff.
Yeah.
What's the scene saying? Can you do it this way? Does this make sense? Will the audience be more riveted this way rather than fast cuts or cutting to close-ups? I think it's all about your story.
Yeah, it is all about the story. And one thing that was really interesting in this one as well is there wasn't...
In Adolescence,
in Adolescence, is that there wasn't the need to move all the time. There's actually just as... I don't know what the exact split is, but there's almost as many times where the camera is holding on a very long sequence where the actors are all together as there is these long sort of moving ridiculously complicated blocking shots like the playground, which we sort of discussed, which is a bonkers number of background sort of artists. And
it's probably though the camera operator needed to rest at that point, if it's a steady cam, because it went between steady cam and handheld and crane and I believe a drone as well, so you kind of had all these you're like, how is this happening? But I know I'm floating emoting now. I know I've followed another character. I've gone through a wall. What the hell's going on? Amazing. Yeah. So look, if you're going to do it, you've really got to think about it. But I definitely say it's can do it. You now don't need 17, 18 days to shoot. You can just hire your camera team for 4 or 5 days, which saves a lot of money as long as you rehearse it, like Dom says. So
find yourself a little hall somewhere and live off your Tesco sandwiches. But it's interesting that it's interesting how the actors approach this as well as I think Stephen sort of mentioned about getting into the Zen sort of the zone and this sort of crossover between almost the best of film and the best of theatre, where you can just allow the actors to react off each other. Obviously we're dealing with actors that can incredibly well emote and listen to each other. And I kind of asked what if you make a mistake when you're doing a 10-minute scene where you're one angle that doesn't sort of move, and it's as long as you're listening all the time and you're not taking your eye off the other person, there is no wrong. You're just simply reacting in real time, and that was really sort of fascinating as well.
That is fascinating, isn't it? It's so true. As long as you're listening, it doesn't matter if you say something wrong or fluff your line. It's real. It's natural. And I think I think that's a great note for most actors and directors is listen, pay attention, listen to the other person, don't wait for your line. I think never wait for your line.
It's about me.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing as well. If you're waiting 45 minutes for your moment, there is that. You're waiting now, but in the wings, if you like, waiting to make sure you're waiting for the third AD's assistant, or the third to go, standing by, 5 seconds, the camera's coming. You know what I mean? Listen to the scratch of the walkie-talkie. Now you're going to walk out and say your lines. You're going to be shitting yourself. You're going to be shitting yourself. There's a lot of kids involved as well, which was beautiful and incredible. Anyway, we've gone about that for ages, but just incredible. We just did. So, film term of the week.
Dom and Charles' film term of the week. Dom and Charles' film term of the week. Oh, Dom and Charles' film term of the week.
This is our exciting bit where we discuss, or I say a film term.
Giles comes up with something obscure, and then I look stupid by not knowing it.
Absolutely, I tried to make Dom look stupid. No, usually he knows what they are, but this film term of the week this week is MOS. It's a film industry term. What does MOS mean?
Oh, MOS. Oh, it's. Something is that? Oh, fucking hell! This is so simple. I should know.
It is.
Is it medium over shoulder?
No. It's to do with the sound department.
No. Okay. No. Is it sound? I was gonna say it was either that or sound.
Yeah.
Isn't MOS when it's you're recording sound that's going to be not on someone's face when they're saying it?
Sort of.
So it's going to be in the scene. For instance, if you've just done a scene, then you get the actors into the sort of side room, and then you re-record the audio. So it's a sort of live dubbing type thing.
No, it's not. MOS is basically without sound.
Oh,
so it's the section where you go, look, we're just going to do this one without sound. We don't need sound. It's difficult to get a boom in. I'll just put on sound later. Or it could be a running shot, or it could be a wide. We don't need sound. There's a truck reversing. Do this one without sound. And it's called MOS because, I think it was, the origin stories of this were, it was a German-speaking director, and it's probably Ernst Lubavitch or Erich von Stroheim, apparently, they would ask for a shot to be filmed without sound. And because he was German, he'd say, "Without sound." And apparently he was really annoying. So all the crew would go, "Without sound." He keeps going, "Without sound," instead of "without sound.
Apologies to any Germans on the podcast.
No, but I have to do it this way. And on the clapperboard, then the crew found this so hilarious. They wrote MOS instead of "without sound," WOS. And then it stuck around as an actual fact. So when the camera assistant writes on the slate MOS, it's a silent shot. And it's stuck. And now it's the abbreviation for on slates all the time and on production reports that the film will be shot without sync sound.
The infuriating thing is I've heard it a million times on set.
I know you have.
And I've been in a million situations where it's MOS, and it's just I just don't ever think of it. you know.
Yeah, MOS, please. Yeah, this one without sound. Yeah, without sound. There you go. That's what MOS means, boys and girls, and Dom. Listen, thank you so much for listening. You're all amazing. Go watch Adolescence now. It's on Netflix. And thank you, Dom, for 2 amazing interviews. Well done.
Yes, I wanted to end on a parting thing because I was telling one of the guys.
Parting note.
I was telling one of the guys at Organic. Shout out to my man, Will.
Company.
And I was like, the interviews went really, really well. Stephen and Graham were great. I was telling Erin, how her scene was one of the best things ever. I was like, oh right, I hope you told Stephen that his was good.
And he sat there going, mate, what about me? What about me?
You can just see his like face just hardening. I mean, to be fair, I did say that he made me cry on The Virtues, which is, I think that's a pretty good compliment. But
it's pretty complimentary. And you did shout at him down the corridor.
I did, yeah. Al Pacino, which is like one of the best. One of the best roles in
Al Capone.
Al Capone, yeah.
I hope you shouted Al Pacino. That would be even better. Just shouted him, Al Pacino, and he's like, mate, what the fuck's wrong with you?
But yeah, I mean, it doesn't need to be said that Steve is one of the best. So yeah, just if you're listening, he's not listening. But if you're listening, Stephen, let's just focus on the Liverpool Premier League and let's forget about that.
Yeah, let's just forget about it because you are the best. He's unbelievably good. Yeah. What a talent he is. We're so lucky that he is in our world and orbit. We're seeing him. It's like the Marlon Brando of our generation. He really is that good.
Yeah, well, it was great because he was talking in an interview the other day about De Niro being his inspiration and like Deer Hunter. I mean, that's one of my favorite films. I mean, that's like top tier. Yeah, and you can see where he went, if that was his influence. I mean, amazing.
Yeah, he's fantastic. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Really appreciate it. And if you're lucky enough to go out there and make a one-shot movie or a TV series and rise up, it is your duty to
send the steady cam back down. Onto the rig, onto the handheld, and to the end of the shot.
And if you can do it all MOS, that'd be even better. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you, Giles.
We will see you next Tuesday. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.